Well, greetings and salutations, folks. I do hope everyone is still doing well. Welcome to today's second and night ending bonus upload. Before we jump on into it, a quick couple links. As many of you may know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. These audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share this video. Why? Well, because all these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. With that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's second and night ending bonus upload, shall we? All right, everybody. Today I have a subscriber who is also a YouTuber. His channel is Adirondacks Bushmaster. Chad, how are you today?
All right. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to come on here and talk with me. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Now, Chad reached out to me the other day when I was talking about the Messiet case, which is in my backyard and in his front yard. We live about 40 minutes from each other, and he's got a lot of interesting details and information and an encounter to share. He's pointed out a couple of things to me which I never really thought about but make a lot of sense. So I'm going to hand the floor over to you, Chad, and have you share your encounter with everybody. And if you could tell everybody a little bit about yourself as well, too, so they can kind of familiarize themselves with you.
Certainly. As Jeff had said, I have a YouTube channel. I teach outdoor mountain survival. I spent a great deal of my life outdoors. I volunteer in emergency services, and so I spent a lot of time outdoors through my whole life. And that's the simple end of it. I also do some music and author, and I get my fingers into a few different things. But anyway, back in November, it was actually November 10th, 2013, there was a young fella who was having problems with his girlfriend at the time. And I said, hey, let's go for a ride. We can talk and just get out and defuse the whole thing. I said, sure, okay. And unlike normal, when I'm going from point A to point B, I like to put the hammer down. This time when I'm, talking to somebody, trying to help them and guide people and stuff, and, really need to take time, I, dial the throttle back, as you could say. So it was going really slow, unusually slow. I don't always do it. Usually if it's, it deems necessary. Enjoying the scenery or trying to communicate with someone. So we were on the back Hague Road. I live in Ticonderoga. I grew up in Hague. I know the area very well. It's on the back Hague Road. and this young fella and I saw what could only be described as a big black Sasquatch. It was massive, and I stand 6 foot, and I'm roughly at about 300, and this thing was probably 3 of me easily, and maybe then some, wide, and the girth on it was just humongous. As many say, you know, you see shoulders. These shoulders are like huge cannonballs. The muscles, to say ripped is an understatement. The arms were excessively long. The fingers were long. It walked where the palms face the back end, where we have a tendency to walk with our palms to our thighs and hips. Knuckles facing forward with this thing, palms facing back. It looked like it caught it off guard. We come just on a slight bend, in a slight corner, and the lights pick up just off the side of the road. This huge figure, I thought just a shadow, until it pivoted and turned with its waist. One leg was facing down the bank, knee bent. The other leg, knee bent, pivoted and faced us and was turned at the waist. It had huge red eyes that honestly scared the hell out of me. It felt like it looked into me and through me. And I've heard people describe hypnotized. I don't think that's quite exactly what happened with myself. Mesmerized, I think, would be more like it. Trance might be more like it. I'm not even sure how I kept the car on the road, to be honest with you. As it was going, I'm thinking my window's a quarter way down. What difference does that make? This thing is as big as a car. And I was driving a gray Hyundai Accent at the time, and this thing is bigger than that. And I'm sure probably heavier. And eyes were like a circle. As it got closer, they seemed to kind of not really, maybe dim just slightly to like an ember reddish orange color. And you could see and there was like corners of the eyes at this point. They were on all 4 corners slightly flat. I'm not sure how to explain that. I don't know really what that means. But it looked surprised at first. I don't know if it stepped out of a portal, maybe not. I didn't see anything of that nature. My car at the time made this rapping, tapping, flapping sound, so I don't see how it couldn't have hurt us.
Now, on that night, another thing that Chad and I were talking about is it was snowing out. And up here or anywhere, to be honest with you, when it's snowing and it's night, it's quiet. It's very, very quiet. And like Chad said, the car had kind of a little rock in the engine when you're going. And this thing came out and was just almost like, what startled kind of that it saw you? Like, just, hey, where did you come from?
Yeah, as we were heading towards Graphite on that back road, towards the direction where the gentleman that you spoke of previously went missing. We were heading in that general direction, which would have been towards the west at that point of time. Seemed like its elbows were up, its hands were extended, particularly the left we could see, and those fingers could have wrapped around my head very easily and then some and just squashed it like a grape. Not a problem. Very intimidating. Extremely intimidating to see something of that magnitude. I thought for years, yeah, I know there's a lot of wilderness. I'm sure they exist out there, and out in the West, and I don't doubt that. But seeing it and feeling it, and the feeling that it projected, onto me, and the fellow that I was with, was just horrific. When we got by it and got closer, he turned and went down the bank, and I say because this thing had a massive looking chest, and from the chest to the waist was slightly tapered in a V shape, ever so slightly. And it just reminded me of a huge Incredible Hulk. If anybody knows Lou Ferrigno from the original Incredible Hulk, puts him to shame, honestly. No exaggeration. This thing was probably 9 or 10 feet tall, easily. I went and stood near the spot, which was on the other side of the guardrail. And I didn't, for my space that I take up, wasn't anything. And I am glad that I was not walking that road or had encountered that in the road. I had a bike accident in 2015. My knee is messed up. So running would not have been a great option for me. A little wobble in there. So probably would have been one that could have escaped. Fighting, I don't think that would have worked out so well for me. Quite honestly, with something that's that big. I've seen bears, I've seen mountain lions, I've seen all kinds of wildlife up here, and nothing has sent a primitive, primal fear of terror inside of me by the time I got by it, and I said to my buddy that I was with, I always said I would go back, and that is when that terror inside me started. I was clearly envisioning, and I'm not one that has this kind of thing happen like this. Trees coming through the window, rocks, and I was taking that as that's what you're going to get if you don't keep on moving. So I was thinking, I'm fighting that urge. And then at the same time, I felt it deep in my every ounce in my being, go. At that same time, I almost verbally said it. My buddy said it. He said what I felt. Mm-hmm. Now, how common do you have that happen at a 1 o'clock in the morning ride? That you're going to say what the other is feeling. And I almost verbalized it, and I was saying, I'm the one driving. I mean, the thought was so fast, and I don't need to tell myself to go. And from there I went. And so I'm not one that reaches out to other channels or other people. But then I started having this feeling of maybe I need to network with someone. And I had felt that I can trust Jeff. I don't know why. I don't know how I had that feeling. I've listened to his channel for a very long time and enjoy it. My family enjoys it. So there's some sort of maybe a spiritual connection there. And as I talked to him, found out that there's interesting things, history and past crossing and things. So when he said that he was going to go there, I said, well, this guy can think I'm a Fruit Loop. I don't care, but I need to try to save his life, because nobody should go there and just take a little wonderful nature hike. And I'm not saying that about you, but in general, there are certain places that I believe we should stay far away from. In that area, I believe now is attracting negative energy from this, and I believe it's going to be more prevalent.
Yeah.
And
now, you shared something with me when you're also a chaplain, and you were with another chaplain on a hike. You're doing some mountaineering.
That's true. Every time I've been up to Swede Mountain, which is very close to Lily Pond, where Mr. Messick had disappeared, there was always a very uneasy, creepy feeling. There was pictures that would take sometimes that it would look like there was faces inside the leaves and different oddities that the camera had picked up that our eyes didn't. But the last time was last year in April, and we took a hike up there, me and a retired a pastor, and another gentleman and my wife and one of our dogs. Our dog seemed a little skittish, a little on edge, a little maybe hyper, barked, seemingly absolutely nothing. We thought he was just hyper to be out. But then we got to the spot where there was this wet spot, and I didn't want to say it to the group. I mean, at this point, I'm in mixed company. I wasn't really ready to show my hand to what I know exists. Not believe. I'm not talking about faith. I'm just talking about what I've seen.
Right.
And no, people say, do you believe in this? It's not a matter of belief. It's a matter of knowing, at least for many. Side of a bank, dirt. It was a dirt bank, and it was a wet print, and it looked like, as my friend said, a big foot. And that's what he said, Bigfoot. And I thought, oh, don't say that. That's what I'm thinking. There was no claw marks. There was only one. It was not an impression. I'm thinking and looking at it, and I snapped a picture, and I said, nobody knew we were coming up here. And it's not like when I go on a hike with a group of people that I posted anywhere online or make anything public. We're going here. It's usually a group of people that says, hey, when can we get together? Go here, go there. And we just sometimes do it on a whim. Sometimes we plan. So there's no way that this could have been planted. And strangely, when we came back out, it wasn't there. And that's very peculiar. Like I say, it was not a impression. It was just a wet spot. Much like you might take your wet hands and maybe put it on a piece of paper with your kids and, or paint and put it on paper and, here's my print. It doesn't leave an impression. It's just stamped there. I cannot tell you for the life of me how it could be hoaxed, how it could have been done. Maybe it was a warning, just you're on my turf. Now we got a little bit past there to a huge opening, and then I noticed around the curve it gets closer to the mountain, and I thought to myself, that looks like a good choking off point. If there was ever anything that was going to happen, something, someone, or anything, or animals would have a good choking off point, because the road, the little four-wheeler trail narrowed really tight to that rocky mountain. There was what looked like swamp and wood line right to it. There would have been no place to go. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to go any further than this. My friend said, well, he wanted to. I said, no, I don't think we should. And I'm trying to think of honest reasons how not to lie to, friends of mine that are all Christians and not come out, and say, this has got this creepy overtone, and I don't think we should be here. Granted, some Christians are enlightened to the the spiritual world to some degree. Some are not. Some just, whatever. Have a little faith and trying to pew with their hind end and go home and, do whatever for the week. Some live it and understand the deeper things and try to. So I didn't know how to. I just said, we need to go. And so I convinced them. They were kind of reluctant. I said, no, I'll take you someplace else, okay? Get out of here. I did. And then by that time, my one buddy was tired. He was like, I'm going to sit here. And when we got to another place, but I took some pictures with my digital camera, not my phone, my digital camera, which picks up huge detail, massive amounts of detail, which I love because when I get down the road, like days, weeks, sometimes months or years later, I'll come back to these photos and I'll zoom them in and I'll try to find the detail. Well, on this one, I found this big bird at the top of a dead, broken off tree looking over its shoulder. I said, it's looking at something. I want to know what it's looking at. So I zoomed it in more, and I'll tell you, it looked just like a Sasquatch. I got the picture.
Do you have this picture still?
I do. In fact, I have a folder on our laptop that has, I say our, my wife and mine, titled Strange Pictures. I have a bit of a washed out track from that night. Actually, it was the next day we went back and got it. So the event probably would have actually been 11/9/2013. Now that was last year. So I've got pictures and people and feelings and sightings all around that time that this gentleman went missing.
Right.
Now, unless somebody swooped down with something that was very quiet and snatched him up or beamed him up like Star Trek, which I don't know that anybody's got that technology, something snatched him up and went, I think, quite honestly, possibly underground, maybe under that rock. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they've ever found if they maybe find some remains over near Farrow Lake. Yeah. I've listened to Missing 411, and they're always where you do not expect it. It's either going to be where you searched, or it's going to be so far off the beaten path. I was researching one case that was up in, I believe it was Tupper Lake. They had the Green Beret come in. A young kid, I think he was like 6 years old. It might have been a Douglas Leg, off the top of my head, if I remember the name correctly. They had the dog, and it tracked through the woods 30 miles. It came to a pond on the other side of town, and the dog stopped. They wouldn't go any farther. Now, they had a scent, obviously, at some point, and then lost it. The Green Berets are never brought in.
Nope.
Or that. It would be the National Guards. So the Green Berets did not talk to anyone there from anything that I have heard. So it is suggestive, very suggestive. They were there hunting something. And they weren't there to find someone. They were hunting something. That's just how it seems to me. How can you explain here today, 1 minute and gone the next? This uncle turned around, and this boy was several feet from him. They could see the cabin that they were staying in, that they owned, and gone. Turn around and that fast. There's no way that a person at any age could not respond. Now, I thought maybe one of these beings opened a portal and got out of Dodge, so to speak.
Yeah. Really quick, the portal thing, just so, like I said, Chad and I had talked for an hour before doing this. Now, he brought up a couple of very interesting things, and as well as I, that in our area of the Adirondacks, we have large deposits of granite. And both of us feel like that has something to do with it. On top of, there are large cave systems. Now, Chad brought up this amazing theory that I've never even thought of. When a lot of people describe these encounters or interactions, they say, "Hey, the air felt charged. It felt like electricity." And then Chad, you had the theory of, I'll turn the floor back over to you on that.
Yes, I have listened to so many documentaries about so many different things, Bermuda Triangle, Alaska Triangle, and it all comes back to granite. And it affects the magnetism. There's an energy in there. There's been some that suggest that rocks have a certain energy anyway. I feel that it is the part of it that ties UFOs, portals, Dogman, Sasquatch to them. Maybe not all intertwined, but linked to the same thing. UFOs are usually seen over mountains. They're never over Broadway, the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, it's always over mountainous areas with large deposits of granite. So it seems logical that after viewing this fella's case down in Florida through the Bermuda Triangle, this electromagnetic vortex, and all this really came to me after I sent this email to Jeff saying, please don't go there. I was basically begging the guy, and I didn't even know him. I said, don't go there alone and unarmed. There was a lightning storm after here, and the lightning, I thought, that's it. A lightning, the electromagnetic field that can be generated, and I don't believe that we as humans, our technology has it to harness that energy. But these beings, UFOs, Dogman, Sasquatch, seem to be able to have a trail that's followed and then dies. There's nothing to follow. There's no tracks, there's no scent, there's nothing. It seems logical that that they can open up a portal either with the sounds that they have, their minds, their will, I don't know. But I find that the sounds that they make, I've experienced a growl. It was in Dresden. My daughter didn't believe. I did one of these calls, and it was the last time, because on the other side of the road, I felt, and I'll tell you, felt the most deepest, and so did my kids and my wife who were in the car, growl, the deepest growl you could ever feel. I felt it in my organs. Now, these beings have a way of creating sound that moves your body into a state of fear, into your fight or flight response is gone. It's dead most of the time in the reports that I have heard. So it seems logical that they can use the right tones, perhaps, like musical notes, to open up a portal and be gone. And I'm kind of wondering in hindsight if that's not what happened to my buddy and I that night on that back Hague Road. It was desolate, but it was close to 4 or 5 other homes. There were old folks. They never would have heard or seen anything. They go to bed with the roosters and wake up with them. So there's nobody that would have heard anything or seen anything. So I'm wondering if they just stepped out of a portal and said, oh, here's a car with some lights on us, because it looked pretty shocked. Now, like I said, my car made noise at the time. If it came across the road or coming out of the woods, I think it would have seen those bright lights and heard it. That's just a theory. I can't prove it. I did not see it. I'll be clear, I did not see it. But with everything from Bermuda to Alaska, with planes and people missing, that seems to be the main ingredient, is the electromagnetic energy in these rocks. I've heard from an old documentary, Ghost Hunters, that said that they suggested that the granite records history. Well, where I live, right out back is Fort Ticonderoga. You had the most horrific, brutal, bloody wars in history. That, I believe, has held a dark, negative, evil feeling here. And all the wars and then everything else that happens through the years, I believe, only attracts more negative energy and beings and people, and it becomes a vicious cycle to some degree. I think that people are too caught up in technology to see it, but these beings outclass us 100, if not 1,000 to 1. We can think, well, we got the latest and greatest technology. But when these things can appear and reappear, they can make scientists say, yes, they believe, but there's no evidence, but there's some circumstantial, there's some DNA, but it's not enough. It's never enough.
Right.
Camera traps aren't enough. I mean, there's always an electric field that they see, sense, feel. But when we're around it, we feel that presence too, that electromagnetic presence. Like I was explaining to you earlier, if you take a balloon and run it across your hair stands up. You feel that's the same kind of electric feeling that I believe people describe and that I have felt.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that one where the guy was talking, and I shared, I said, I know the exact one you're talking about, where he said it felt like there was a lightning storm and there had been no rain or lightning. The air was charged. And,
exactly.
It's definitely, when you said that to me, I was like, wow, that's really something to look into and think about. It's funny that you brought up Dresden, because I used to, growing up, I used to work for a landscaping company, and the lady bought the old Dresden Hotel, and we used to take care of the property out there. And I remember a huge field, and it hadn't been mowed for years. And just getting a really eerie feeling being out there, because you've got, like, I believe it's the beginning of Champlain. It's almost like the beginning and end of Lake George, beginning of Champlain, kind of like connecting right there where the old Dresden Hotel used to be. There's some train tracks back there, and it's just a very creepy place in general.
Yes, it is.
And then, from Dresden, you go north, kind of northwest is Ty,
yes.
and then down 9 is me. And it's, that area is just, like you said, bloody battles, Revolutionary War, Native American slaughters. We have a road by me that's called Bloody Pond Road, and the reason why it is called that is because a group of Native Americans were slaughtered mercifully there. And there's been numerous, nothing to do with Sasquatch or Dogman, but there's been numerous UFO sightings in that area. So I believe you're, just like I've said it many times, negative energy attracts more negative energy.
Absolutely.
And then you shared something where you were talking about these cave systems, and there, ironically enough, is a cemetery behind these cave systems.
Yes, where we had that encounter just down the road, my members, it's a cemetery. It's fairly new, probably last 40, 50 years maybe. It might go back to the 60s. But anyway, behind that is a bit of a mountain And a friend of mine told me that you can't traverse it. Well, after what I've seen, I'm thinking, I don't want to traverse it. He had told me that there's caves up there. And at one time, going by, his father went by years ago and saw a fire in one of them. Now, it's interesting because there have been some reports that I have heard that says that, for at least the Sasquatch, that they do have the ability, to have fire.
Yes.
I don't know. I've never seen it. I'm not going to discredit it. But if they got fingers and a thumb, and I know that they do, they can certainly work any mechanism, or I don't know how they create it. I just understand that they can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, like we were talking, there's two theories. Well, there's many theories, but just the two that me and you were talking about is the portal opening things, and then with the theory of them traveling with Native Americans across the Bering Strait. If they can open a portal, chances are they can create fire. And if they traveled with Native Americans, I'm sure that maybe just through observation, or maybe the natives taught them how to create and harness fire, for warmth, for cooking their food, for whatever.
Yes, very possible.
Yeah, they're not stupid creatures.
Right.
There's been numerous from the Pacific Northwest where they've seen them use tools, sticks and stuff. So now, this one got me when we were. Now, where you grew up, just so everyone can kind of get a visual, where Hague is from Ticonderoga is just south, and there's a road called Route 9. Now, that road is going towards Ty, is probably the windiest, skinniest road in the world. I mean, it's almost like those videos that you see on YouTube with those people in India with those, weird trucks, because it's very windy and very tight in some spots. And you were going up to Ty just to hang out one night, and something happened to you up that way.
Yes, that's true. I was coming back from Ty. I had hitched a ride. I was, I think, 15, maybe 16 at the time. And I was let off at what the restaurant used to be called Indian Kettles. It overlooked Lake George, the lake itself, not confused with Lake George Village, but the lake over towards Anthony's Nose and Hewlett's Landing over in Putnam. And so I was walking, and it was very difficult because, it's like being dipped in ink and let loose in a coal mine. It is so dark, pitch dark, you can't see anything. So I'm starting to get to the light finally. It's probably about a mile or so down the road where Island Harbor is. And that's the name of those sharp turns. It gets really narrow, and it's really close to the lake as you're about to come into downtown Hague. Well, I knew something was creeping off at the time, but I didn't know what until after I started listening to everybody else's encounters. And then I realized, wow, that's what happened to me. Something was pacing me. It was up in the woods. It was up on the bank, backing in there a little ways. And I couldn't have seen it. If it stood 2 feet in front of me, I wouldn't have seen it. Big tree branches would break, snap. Hear it walking, I'd stop, it would stop. The classic thing. A lot of people have had it happen. But it happened to me, in the early 90s. And I'm thinking, oh, this is creepy. So when I got to the light, there was a road that goes up to Lakeshore Mines. I booked it. I was beating the bricks as fast as I could, and I was gone. And then I didn't hear it anymore. It could have went up on that road, and maybe caught up to me, but I was in some light at that time, so I could see, I could hear, but there was this mansion that sits on the corner there, so that was pretty lit up, and there was some houses. I didn't think that was going to save me, but the lake was there. I would have took my chances of jumping in the lake and maybe getting snagged up on that old shipwreck that's over there, just off from the bay. I would have taken my chances with any of that before whatever it was pacing me. I knew bears at the time. They did not do that. Deer did not snap twigs and sticks. You could tell that these sticks were like that.
Right.
And it happened another time on West Egg Road. And this time I had a friend with me, and it was about the same time. It's about the same age, and it happened again. I said, "Oh no!" And we're coming into the darkest part at the end of West Egg, right near. There's like an old school bus that sits up there. Caboose is what people used to call it, but it was like a red trailer, one of those container trailers that haul stuff.
Yep.
That's what was up there, and it was really dark. Huge pine trees, and it was on a bank, a steep slope, and something was pacing us, and I said, "Oh God, not again!" And and we're off to the races, and we're gone after a little bit of that, and that was creepy. Both times, it felt like that electromagnetic feeling, that electricity in the air, that something's not right. It's too quiet. It's too dark. There's just an electric feeling in the air, electrical current in the air, however one wants to describe it. That seems to me that it's the only thing that joins all of the two. There was, I think, a fella from Canada that explained, like the Earth, particularly, and I believe with the granite. UFOs can use it for the conductivity, I think. So it like a North Pole, South Pole. That's how it can manipulate our gravity. We don't have any control over our gravity, but I think that these entities certainly understand how to manipulate gravity to their advantage. And we're just oblivious, and I think that we're getting, a lot of people are getting kind of, don't mean to offend anybody, but dumber because we're caught up in more technological things, that we lose that primitive instinct, that sixth sense, that tells you something's wrong, get out of here. Right. And I think that technology and all the politics and everything in the world helps shape you away from that and takes away your natural instincts.
Kind of puts the blinders on you. You really lose. You lose your primal. You lose who you are as a human. I mean, we were designed to hunt our food and live in the wild. We just eventually became this kind of super animal that has control of so many things.
Right.
A cell phone, can only do so much. Our sixth sense, like you're saying, to pay attention to your surroundings. Be out. Maybe instead of being on your phone or your laptop or something, go out on a hike, but be aware of your surroundings, It's definitely something that we've forgotten and lost. But one thing I really wanted to point out as what Chad was describing, the bank, and I know right where he's talking about on 9, when going that way, that road is narrow. You've got the lake on one side, and it's like a sheer rock wall with houses, very nice houses, up on the top of this wall, or deep woods. And then where these houses are, behind that is just deep woods. So these things can just stalk you without you even knowing. Like they're looking down on you with ease. You're looking up, and all you see is a rock wall, which is in some places up there 10, 15 feet, and then woods. So they've got the perfect vantage point right there where you were on that night.
Yes, and there's plenty of cave systems, particularly mines on graphite. They've been blocked off, welded up with steel bars, protect these bats, who I guess are not even there anymore. But there's certainly, I'm sure, other shafts and natural cave systems that probably have not even been mapped. There's places that are just rock face. There's no reason that a hunter would ever go up there. You could have a beautiful view of the mountain tops, but you're not going to get your big buck that you're looking for the season. Not many people would scale these because they're not really steep or high climbing. They're kind of in the middle. They've got some loose rock, and it's just a mixed bag. So that nobody really goes up to a lot of those places. And I've got some excellent photographs of some of that faces over near North Creek from Swede Mountain. And you can really tell how desolate that it is.
Yeah, it really is. Now, we're coming up on time, but I got a couple minutes. I got about 10, 15 more minutes. I kind of want to touch basis on a couple of things. You being in the field that you're in, emergency services, I'm sure that you've dealt with a lot of accidents, boating, traffic, missing persons, this, and that. Now,
Yes.
with the Tom Missick case, how likely is it that a normal person like him, I mean, the only thing, and I'm not discrediting anything from the gentleman, so he wasn't a politician, he wasn't a statesman, he wasn't a millionaire, he was just the average Joe, like me, you, everybody else.
Correct.
How often in your field would the FBI be called in? I mean, the critical response team of the FBI be called in?
I've heard that they were there, they did nothing, they did not participate. This has never happened. This happens if there's, like you say, like a head of state, statesmen, assemblymen, congressmen, these types of people, if it's, across the state borders. Mm-hmm. But to take notes, don't talk to anyone, just collect what information they can get and get gone. Not happening. Never seen it. Never once. I've seen and heard of a lot of, search and rescues. Yeah. They're usually found within a couple of hours, and they're generally statistically not more than a few miles from where they live. Yeah. Or from where they went missing. When the whistle was blown fast, with that case, they had police, fire, EMS professionals on the ground and off and running, and they found nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Not a dime, not a piece of lint, nothing that said the guy even existed there. Yeah. That screams something profoundly strange happened, and not only has happened there, but has happened previously here in the Adirondacks and across America and the world. And nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but there's nobody that I am really aware of that's blowing the whistle overly hard, saying that all of this, portals, UFOs, Sasquatch, Dogman, missing people are all somehow intertwined.
Yes.
I don't know of, anyone that has really promoted that. I haven't read any books on that. I haven't,
Besides my channel, I think I say it out every day on my channel, at least once a day on my channel. But yeah, I mean, there's not that many books. There's not that many people out there saying, hey, all this is connected.
Yeah.
And it is. It's connected somehow, some way. And it may be the smallest or it may be the biggest thing that connects it all together. But
absolutely.
Where he disappeared, Lily Pond, that area, yes, it is desolate, it's dense, but I mean we're not talking he wasn't in the depths of the Adirondacks. I mean, there's parts of the Adirondacks that are so deep that you could hike for a day. You'll eventually come to a stream or a fire road like we talked about. But where he was, I mean, we're not talking, it shouldn't have happened, to be honest.
Correct.
Like, he's an outdoorsman, an experienced outdoorsman. Yeah,
he's
82 years old, but still, 82, you're not, I mean, if you're 82 and you're going out in the woods, you're not in a walker, you can actually get up and walk around.
Yes.
So that just should not have happened. It's unbelievable.
There's nothing that makes sense in my mind about that, because you have essentially the Northway, I-87, and some other intersecting roads towards the west. Then you have Route 8 that comes from the west to the east. And then from the south, or from the east, you have where Route 8 intersects with 9N that would go over to where you live. And then that would intersect over there on the opposite side. So there's roads in all four corners that could have been in camps and other things that were accessible very easily had the gentleman got lost, hurt, or injured. Or if that was the case, somebody would have heard that. And my understanding was what I had heard, that they searched 5 miles, a 5 square mile pattern. So they covered a lot of terrain and found nothing. This screams that there's something that's very, very strange with missing people that are just here 1 minute and then gone.
Yep. Well, like his wife said, he was an experienced survivor. He taught survival. He would have done one of two things: sat there and waited, or torn off parts of his clothing and made, and left little trail markers.
Yes.
None of that. It's a very baffling case. And, I'm almost curious, just when we were talking about the FBI thing and how they came in and took notes and really didn't do anything, I'm wondering if they came in, took notes, and under the shroud of darkness, I'm wondering if any kill teams, like the Green Beret that were up north by Tupper Lake, I wonder if any of them came in the shroud of darkness where no one would know and went out and hunted.
Highly possible, because north of where you live and south of where I live, Tongue Mountain, that is so desolate, they could have landed helicopters there and no one would have ever known it. Yeah. They could have had a massive team of Green Berets or any other elite team came in there and done business, and we would never know about it. Yeah. There's no, we think it would be on the news. You got to understand, or not you, but the people in general that don't understand these things don't understand. We don't have a news media that says, oh, there's something happening over here. A whistleblower, somebody that sees or hears something, is going to take a long time to get outside of this area. And by the time somebody gets into here, it's going to be done and over with.
Yeah, in and out. And like you said, there's Tongue Mountain is, it's But there's also a shitload of privately owned little airports all around the Adirondacks. Actually, I went for a drive today, and just to get out, and I came across one that I'm pretty sure I knew it was there out in Fort Ann, but completely forgot that it was there. It's a private little owned. I mean, and you pay somebody enough money, they're going to keep their mouth shut, especially if it's a team of Green Beret. You know, who the hell wants to screw with those guys or the U.S. government? Here's a couple hundred thousand.
Yeah, or they'll get threatened, you know, and I've heard that that's happened before, that, you know, people get threatened. But I do want to say something else. I was referencing people that are talking about missing people in general. Don't blow the horn about it. So please don't take that like I was referring to you or anybody that's, you know, talking about these beings and things like that. So I didn't mean that. If I came up in a negative way, my apologies.
No, you didn't. There's just, it needs to be more. More people need to do it, and because it's something it's overlooked. You know, like David Politis he's doing a great thing. He's doing a great service, and there needs to be more people like him that really, you know, I mean, my platform's growing. Hopefully my platform reaches the height of him, and I can, you know, become something like that. But people need to know that this stuff is happening. You know, people's loved ones are going missing. It's not just like, you know, and I'm not saying this because, you know, it's not some forgotten soul. You know, this is someone's loved one, someone's dad, granddad, husband, you know.
That they will probably never have for closure. I just want to paint this picture for your listeners. Think about your closest loved one, your spouse, your kids. Think about the horrificness that you will never have closure. No closure on what happened. That has got to be absolute hell to live with daily, not knowing. And to think that, you know, people think it's a joke, or, you know, it's nothing, or it's just something unusual. They just turned around and got lost. There's no way. Let's go back to this gentleman, Mr. Messick. Let's say somebody came in and snatched him. For what purpose? There's been no demands for money. He's like you said, he wasn't a millionaire. He had no enemies. What's the motive? We would have heard something by now. It would have came out. Somebody would have known something. Who would have said somebody, who knew somebody. Nothing.
Well, there was a theory, like a possible theory that his wife had mentioned that, you know, maybe someone on a four-wheeler had hit him, and, you know, but that is so far beyond happening. You know, where he was, there is no really four-wheeling trails out there, you know. And regardless of how deaf he is, you know, you're going to hear a four-wheeler coming at you if you only have one good ear, you know.
And my understanding is he was off the trail leaning on a big rock. Now, if somebody hit him, I would surmise that there would be blood. Every accident that I've seen, there's been some bit of blood to some degree or another. They would have been tracks dragging him out. There would have been four-wheeler tracks going in or out. Somebody would have known something. Somebody would have said, well, I saw John Doe burying something and it looked peculiar. Somebody would have seen something, said something by now, and released that.
Especially with, and like you said, the 5-mile perimeter, you know, like that. They a 5-mile radius. That's huge. From where they were, 5 miles to 5 miles, a circle, air and land. People walking that land, they would have come across, you know, little Joey digging a hole, or, you know, some sort of scuffle mark, or, you know, like, you just can't bury somebody and have it look normal in a day.
Once that ground is disturbed and there's people all over, and you know that people would have people up here would have went out back and checked their backyard. They would have looked, they would have listened, they would have done that much. If they were too old or, too young to get involved, they would have looked, they would have seen something.
Yep.
They would have checked their favorite hiking trails out, their favorite fishing spots. People were all over that whole area looking, and to think that there was, I forget, hundreds of searchers. I could be wrong. Don't quote me.
No, there was like hundreds.
Yeah, there was like a couple hundred at least, and if not more. And I think there may have been more over the course of the time. But you had mutual aid coming in there from different towns and counties helping in the search, and found nothing. That is, I can't even begin to tell you the astronomical improbability of that.
It's not. And I was thinking about someone digging a hole in that area. We're talking, you might get a foot down before you hit a rock. To be honest with you, you just where in these woods, you just can't go and dig a hole.
Yeah, there's lots of legends.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I really do hope. I hope that family does get closure someday.
Certainly.
Do I feel like they are? I don't. I really don't, unfortunately. I'd love for them to. But, yeah. So, a couple quick questions. One last quick. The picture that you're discussing with the bird looking over.
Yes.
Could you share that with me? Because as of now, there's a lot of people talking about having pictures and no one ever seeing them. I'd appreciate if you would be able to share that with me so I could possibly use it as the background for this video. So that way people could see what you are talking about.
They may not see very much. It needs to be zoomed way in. It was never intended to pick up a being or a creature. This was totally by accident.
Right.
And the bird itself is on the other side of this huge field, and that is sometimes difficult to see.
So what I can do is I could use it as the backdrop for this video, and then I have the comment section where you saw the picture of Lake George. I can post that picture in there, and then people can take it upon themselves to look at it and blow it up if they choose to.
They certainly can. Okay. They can. And I could, when we connect, I'll show you. I could show you, send you a crop version. But I kind of feel like leave them original so that, any tampering could discredit it and take detail away.
Yeah.
That's just my thought.
No, I agree. That's why I said, I'll use it as the backdrop for the video and then post it on the community section. That way, if someone wants to look at the picture, blow it up themselves, they can. But yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with you. And going out with our cameras. I'm coming armed, especially where I like to go. But yeah, I really appreciate you reaching out to me. I really do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And, I just feel that, maybe together we can expand what you've done, expand what I've done, expand what others have done. You mentioned Mr. Dave Politis and what he's done. I feel that I'm short of giving out a theory or a working hypothesis or, and I think that we need that as researchers. You need to have something to say, this doesn't fit.
Right.
That does. Or maybe this does for now until a new piece of evidence comes, because I think, and by coming out, maybe to save a life.
Yeah.
Maybe to get people to, I try to teach people, don't run in the woods. Take the earbuds out. I love music. I love rocking out. But there's a time and a place for it. You need to hear if somebody's screaming and for help. You need to be able to hear if something's screaming for you to, get the hell out of Dodge. You need to be able to hear. You need your senses. And technology has diminished our senses. I find that when I'm in the woods, my senses are heightened. Yeah. I've learned years ago, you enter the woods, you enter the food chain.
Yes. That is 100% true. Well, we are up on time, and I think that sentence right there was the best sentence to end this video with, because when we do enter the woods, we are in the food chain now, and we are not at the top of it. So, Chad, it was great having you on. Don't hang up when I end the video, because I want to talk to you for a little bit after. But it was great to have you on. I'd like to have you on back again, and we can set something up. That way me and you can go out together and do some things together. Like you said, it's to bring awareness to everybody. So thank you for coming on.
Certainly. Thank you, sir.
And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd really like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please, everyone, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions. Never stop searching for the truth. And God bless you all.